Over the course of 3 years, Vivinos has been releasing rounds or episodes of Alien Stage, and throughout those years, I've been covering it. Over 2 channels and over 18 months, I've been analysing Alien Stage videos. So I thought, with this new channel, why not put a big compilation out in one place, just so it's easier to watch them all together. But with that being said, this is everything you need to know about Alien Stage. Alien Stage is the latest project from the Korean animation channel Vivinos, and Alien Stage has been Let's discuss the video itself. Unsurprisingly, like most Vivinos videos, we follow the narrative of 2 girls. It's shocking, I know. One with short black hair and purple eyes, and one with long pink hair, glasses and greenish yellowish eyes, but their eye colour kind of changes throughout. The video itself isn't in chronological order, however the video focuses on these 2 girls as they grow up in a post-alien invasion world. For simplicity's sake, let's just give these characters names, as I usually do in these Vivinos explanation videos. As this character has SUA marked on their neck, we'll simply refer to her as such, as either SUA or just Sewer. I think I'll say SUA. We don't off with SUA singing in some grassland when the 2 are in their younger years. Also note, before anyone asks, no, I do not think this is the same field from the end of The Escape in a Dream. So please, no one ask in the comments, because since I know that I thought it looked a little bit similar for a second, I know someone's going to try and make that connection, and it's quite plainly not the case. A confusing sentence. As the camera zooms out, we then see the 2 surrounded by lights. The 2 continue singing Look at the title. We then get a brief flashback showing us what Earth was like as it was being taken over. Whilst we see this, the narration comes in. The narration itself is most likely from Pink. She discusses how humans believed that anything that couldn't be solved by humans was the will of God, how we believe the entire universe revolves around Earth, how everything above the sky was where the gods lived. However, once humans left the universe and went past the sky, we forgot about God. In my opinion, this narration is just quite simply discussing our world now a little bit, as well as, in universe. The more the world journeys out and expands our knowledge of the sciences and everything of the universe as we travel from Earth into space and into other universes, religion will become less and less common, as it already has in our own world. To be more on topic with the narration itself, it simply describes how humans have less need of faith when science and knowledge becomes more prevalent. However, if the one thing unique to humans is the ability to believe in something, then our character here will believe in a god, her god, her universe, SUA. Throughout this narration we get visuals of the world being destroyed, as well as what the human race has been reduced to, seeing children wearing the same collars that Pink and SUA do, as well as a flashback of the two in a room with other children singing. This is more likely the exam that the two passed earlier, or maybe them going through some sort of alien idol training course, but given the way these aliens in the back are sat at a desk looking very judgy, I'd assume that they're judging the children's aptitude for singing, I guess, and whether or not they'll pass this test. The two then finish their song as their scores are charted behind them, the numbers rising and rising. What most of the other contestants look like due to all the promotional material for Alien Stage, as well as the teaser that was released 2 days before the Alien Stage video round 1. We also see some clips for upcoming rounds of Alien Stage. We get to see little sneak peeks, but to be honest, the promotional material had me thinking that SUA was going to live, due to the fact that the artwork for the video series that I saw the most was this. And this kind of paints SUA as the main character. I mean, she's even the thumbnail for the teaser, meaning that her death actually caught me a little off guard. In conclusion, we know for a fact that there is more Pink Bitch Club on the way. We just don't know when that will be. And to be honest, I am more than happy to wait if it means I get more of this bleak, drab and disturbing world, as it kinda revitalised my interest in Vivinos. They finally went back to their roots somewhat by making stories that actually disturb you whilst also upping the animation quality significantly. Overall, what is the story of Alien Stage in a nutshell? It's another story about sad lesbians that die a lot. I mean, bro, what? Thanks very much for watching this video. Not gonna lie, I was a little nostalgic making this video because it made me realise that my first Vivinos video was over a year ago now. Editing Josh here. As I was editing the video, Q Meng herself commented on my last Vivinos video, which was about where Vivinos went. What the f***? Alien Stage is the latest musical project from the Korean animation channel, Vivinos. I have discussed Vivinos at length in the past, as well as discussed the previous round, round 1, in another video, as well as the prologue teaser on stream, which you can click above in the top right to watch a playlist of now to get yourself up to speed. But, right now, round 2, quite aptly enough, is the second round of this Battle Royale SingStar tournament. And to be honest, apologies for being crass here, but this flipping slaps. Everything from the music to the smooth like butter animation, and at the same time, the video's narrative and plot retain some of the core themes and stylistic choices that Vivinos has become known for. Doomed and unrequited love, shocking and disturbing moments, as well as moments that just kind of make you pause the video and say, "Did that guitar have intestines?" To be honest, this is one of the few Vivinos songs I would actively go out of my way to listen to, and the song here just goes hard. I'll gush about how much I enjoyed the video later on, but for now let's dive into the narrative of this music video, as well as some of the things you may have missed or may find interesting. So the video itself begins with Till, the protagonist of this round. If you couldn't tell, he's the one with the actual character design, not the NPC looking dude in the background. Anyway, it starts off with these two characters on the tournament round screen, which we've seen a couple times at this point, showing us that this is in fact round 2. Shocker! The two are then seen on an elevator that rises upwards, bringing them towards the stage for the next round. But there is something hidden in this shot. If you look closely, just look at the state of that guitar. Is that a hand grip on the side? It's the future, and guitars are still using this many wires. We even see later in the video that the headstock of the guitar is floating and not connected to the rest of the guitar. Yet despite the fact that pieces are floating, this guitar needs this many wires. It's a random design choice that blows my mind for no reason. Random tangent aside, the characters then proceed to go up, and we get a shot of them from behind. We see the two, and we see that they're pretty much wearing very similar clothes, white t-shirt and trousers, but despite that, they still look very different. As a result, we kind of know immediately which one of these characters isn't going to live throughout the rest of the music video. We also see what appears to be a chain or some sort of restraint around Till's neck, almost resembling a noose, as they continue towards the stage. Once they reach the stage, a small beat starts in the background, but as Till raises his guitar pick and slams it down, he cuts through the silence. As the guitar strum echoes throughout the arena, we see how high the restraint around his neck goes. We also see the amount of flashing lights and eyes surrounding him. And we see the reaction of the other contestant next to him, reacting to Till about to hit this fat guitar riff. Kick drums then come in as we see Till slowly walk forward. We see his guitar covered in wires and an eyeball. Ew. We see his face looking surprisingly calm, which is a bit of a juxtaposition with his emotions throughout the rest of the video. We see him in orange trousers and barefoot, resembling a prisoner quite a bit. Then he starts playing his guitar, and as he begins, he also starts to sing with the line. We cut to see Till on stage from a distance, seeing him from the side. We can't even see the other contestant anymore. It's just him on stage, and it's pretty much going to remain that way for the rest of the video. As he starts playing, the title card comes in, Alien Stage. Till, maintaining his composure, continues to play whilst looking somewhat stoic and collected. Then he turns to his left and sees the pro tag from the previous round. And thanks for letting me know in the comments, but we now know that this character is called Mizi. M-I-Z-I, I think. For the sake of argument, I'll call her Mizzy, just so it's easy for me to say. I've seen people call her different names, but as it says Mizzy on Vivinos' Twitter, I'll go with that one. Also, a quick note about the song itself once it starts. It feels a lot more punkish and rock. Given how Till is dressed, it makes a lot of sense, but to be honest, I wouldn't call it 100% full-on punk rock, London's Calling by The Clash, at least in regards to the music itself. Whilst I noticed just a sheer complete tonal shift from all of Vivinos' other music, making use of guitars and drum kits and heavy use of kick drums from what I can tell, This is unlike most of Vivinos' other stuff, which is usually much more synthetic sounding, which makes sense given what the PBC is. But overall, this song feels like a rock song with a little bit of punk in it and a little bit of metal later on, which is weird. I'll explain why. It's pretty nice, and out of Vivinos' discography, I'd say that this is some of my favourite music, except Otomoroid. Otomoroid slaps. Otomoroid is the GOAT. He told me. Oh yeah, Alien Stage. Till sees a post-round 1 Mizzy looking quite dejected for obvious reasons. We then flash back to why Till is seeing her in his mind whilst on stage right now. Why is he thinking about her? We flash back to him observing SUA and Mizzy together in their artificial landscape / prison cell, having fun together. Then we see that Till himself is covered in injuries. As he can see them right now, it would make sense that Till himself snuck out to see them, as we don't see Till with anyone else. It's safe to assume that, for now, that he was left alone in his cell for most of the time. Unlike SUA and Mizzy, who had each other, Till was all on his own. The song continues, Till continues to play, until we get a shot of him bashing himself against a wall, bruises on his face, and his collar glowing red like the pet human we saw in the previous round. The song continues, and we see another flashback. Till hiding some flowers that we used to make a flower crown in SUA's and Mizzy's room. Till hides the flowers behind his back with handcuffed hands, whilst what must be Till's owner, I guess, in the doorway, which is then followed by a shot of Till covered in bruises and blood. We then get a glitch transition, which is followed by what appears to be Till writing songs and practicing in his cell. It appears that after he snuck out of his cell that the security around him has increased. As we see him in his cell, this is when Till's lyrics also start to come in more. I'll only talk about the lyrics that I feel have really large, significant narrative importance. For example, "Nothing was my everything, the melody that filled the empty me. It's you, alright?" From this, I interpreted that Till was feeling quite hollow and lonely before he met Mizzy for obvious reasons, but once he heard her melody, it filled his emptiness. As we see in the flashback, when Till observes the two in their prison cell, he sees them singing and hears them. We then get a couple shots of Mizzy singing with a white background behind her. We then see the sheet music for the songs that Till was writing, which also contains some drawings of Mizzy adorning them. We then return to the present. "I want to know all about you." This quite obviously signifies that despite all of them being child slaves, being forced into the same competition, most of the people participating in this tournament haven't really had too much interaction between each other, as well as the obvious romantic connotation of wanting to know more about someone you're interested in. We then get a nice little juxtaposition between the life of the two girls and Till. The two girls happily celebrating the passing of their exam, surrounded by light, dressed in white, happy and smiling. Meanwhile, the opposite is happening to Till. When we see him, the only light surrounding him is from the hologram in front of him. The word pass is the only light in the room, as he is also adorned in black clothes. But when he looks into the hologram, he sees a vision of Mizzy appear before him, whilst a very important lyric plays. "The edelweiss of my feelings that blossomed because of you." Now, this lyric can mean a lot of different things in different contexts, so I'm going to keep my interpretation of it relatively simple as to not overcomplicate it. The edelweiss, I like pronouncing that, is a fun word to say, is a flower. Great, more flower symbolism, which I absolutely love, but the edelweiss, while having multiple meanings, usually has the connotation of purity and nobility, and on top of that, it's somewhat of a rare flower, as it can only be grown in really high altitudes, making, as some describe, a somewhat lonely flower that can only really grow in places like the Alps. Well, what does this mean in the context of Alien Stage? I mean, it must have been used for a reason, right? It could mean that Till's feelings of loneliness blossomed after seeing and hearing Mizzy sing. I personally see the line as having meaning that Till's lonely existence had no feeling, but since he heard Mizzy and saw her, his feelings blossomed, she became his everything. I mean, in 99% of the shots of this video, if Till isn't playing some sick tunes on his guitar, he's fantasizing or doing something in relation to Mizzy. But that's my opinion on the line. There's also more in-depth interpretations you can look over with the specific history of that flower, but you can look that up yourself and feel free to let me know in the comments. However, this line is also followed by another interesting line, "You'll never know," which is someone sung in the background as an echo, probably alluding to the fact that these two characters will never really have a direct interaction with each other that isn't on stage. They will never get the chance to probably meet if they haven't already. which is kind of a bit sad, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. But that's how I see these lines and how I interpret them. So please let me know your interpretation below. We then get yet another flashback to Till watching Mizzy on stage during the previous round, in round 1. It seems that the security around him has further increased as we see him with a gag in his mouth. Oh, Vivinos, you and your yaoi. I don't think this time is enough. Yet again, alluding to the fact that they don't have any time together. The closest to them being together is them passively watching each other on stage for a couple minutes at a time. Still, it's not enough for me, alright? Till, despite being forced to wear a collar, handcuffs, gag, still wants to spend more time with Mizzy. Still though, I think that it's quite intriguing that we don't really see Till's reaction to what happened to SUA on stage. Like, was he shocked and felt bad for Mizzy, or was he glad that there was less competition? Who knows? Well, it's catchy. So the song continues bopping, Till keeps playing, but then the NPC character in the background realised that, you know, this is an elimination tournament, so he better get some lines in before he just immediately loses. He needs to sing. But as soon as he is about to, Till smashes his guitar, causing it to explode with green goop and
Dorgan. Hello.
I noticed that there's a minor graphical error here. Just above the unnamed contestant's head, you can see that there's a little shadow above him that kind of just cuts off for some reason. I noticed that. I mean, it's just like a little minor graphical thing. It's barely noticeable. To be honest, I don't know how I managed to pick it, but anyway, back to
Round 2.
just before the guitar smash, which I will admit is pretty punk rock. The lyric, "You're the one I'm feeling, it's love." That line seems pretty self-explanatory to me. What I love about it is what comes afterwards. When the opponent tries to sing, instead of Till's opponent's voice coming out, we get a guttural death growl from Till, which sounds like something straight from a death metal song. It's kind of quiet, but it's pretty sick. It's something like, it just sounds really cool. We then see Till smiling, covered in sweat, post-guitar smash, looking quite proud, in my opinion. We then see Mizzy raise her head slightly, reacting to what Till did. We see Till triumphantly turn to see Mizzy with her head raised, watching him. Then we see that the aliens watching, I guess, don't really like rock music or smashing guitars, despite how objectively cool both of those things are. And they kind of just go into a panic. Then we see that although they didn't seem to like it, as they have their fists raised in anger, pointing in confusion, or just sweat profusely, Till still wins, meaning that the NPC looking dude just got murked off screen. Like, goddamn. One little nitpick I have about this series so far. I wish it was more like Danganronpa. Okay, let me explain. In Danganronpa, every character, like even like non-important characters who will die immediately, they're all super over-designed, so you don't really know who's gonna die. And as a result, when you see any of the characters die, since they all look like main characters, it'll shock you immediately. No one started watching this music video and went, I think that really boring guy in the background, yeah, he's gonna win, he's got this in the bag. The arena is just completely aghast, as if this performance was so fire it caused a public emergency. Then we see Q-Meng and Vivinos' yaoi roots come in, as we see Till smiling as he's pinned to the ground by multiple men. So, we then get one final shot of Till passing out after being beaten, Mizzy beside him, and this character with the tsundere snaggletooth. I feel like I've seen this character's name somewhere on Twitter or something. Could someone please tell me in the comments what the character with the black hair is called, or if we even know, because I'm not sure. We get one final graphic showing that this is the end of round 2, and then we get the credits. My overall thoughts on this video are that narratively, everything we see solely in this video without further context provided from subsequent videos is relatively simple. Till has been literally raised in complete solitude from what we can tell, and as a result, after he had a small glance of Mizzy and heard her singing, he immediately became infatuated. And since that was his real outside contact that we know of with other humans, he just became obsessed. He seemingly attempts to sneak out a couple times to see her, but as a result had more security placed on him, more so than other contestants. I mean, just look at the massive rope around his neck. The song itself reflects it through its lyrics, whilst the music itself is a weird rock song with a little bit of metal and a little bit of punk rock in it, which reinforces the narrative of trying to break free from the constraints placed on you by higher powers. I mean, in the world of music, you can't get more anti-establishment and more do what you want attitude than punk rock. And if I was in this world, I feel like I'd be pretty punk rock too. I don't think I'd want to be a child slave either. Regarding the black-haired character, who I'll just refer to as Snaggletooth from now on, because I really don't know their name. Q-Meng made artwork of this character a little bit ago, and probably has a little bit of foreshadowing for the upcoming rounds. Who knows? I mean, a lot of the artwork shown off on Vivinos' Twitter shows something foreshadowing upcoming events. I mean, look at this piece showing off Till and Mizzy. This was released a good minute or two before the video actually came out, so keep an eye on their Twitter for more hints. Also, one more piece of art I want to mention from their Twitter is this. This character seems to act as somewhat of a teacher in the artwork, and we see her in the teaser and stuff. I have the feeling that she's somewhat of like a mother from the Promised Neverland. Maybe she was like in a previous tournament and survived. Now she has to train in the new competitors for the tournament. And my guess is that if she has a video of her own, it'll be about her feeling guilty or about that or something. I don't know. But there is one prediction I will make, which I promise you will come true. Till ain't gonna survive. Probably, it's not gonna happen immediately, but this dude, despite making some really dope music and actually dressing pretty cool, 100% he ain't living till the end. Please let me know your predictions and interpretations in the comments below. Please feel free to follow my socials, and I've literally just started a Patreon if you want to support the channel further. But now, time for the outro. Alien Stage is, as of this recording, the latest series produced by the Korean animation channel, Vivinos. And in this video, I'll be analysing and covering round 3 of Alien Stage. But I feel like I need to get one thing out of the way before I start my analysis. Personally, I cannot take Ivan seriously at all with that snaggletooth. Anyway, onto the video. Each round of Alien Stage so far has been focused on 1 to 2 characters' backstories before they entered the competition and stepped onto the titular Alien Stage. With the case of round 3, we focus on Ivan, the black-haired character with black eyes and a loose fang, as he grows up similarly to the other characters in the tournament as a slave/pet to the alien beings that took over Earth, as well as him living his life in a holographic cube that simulates a vast countryside environment, like we saw with SUA and Mizzy. And we see him go through his round of Alien Stage against an absolute nobody who we know isn't going to last the 4-minute runtime of this video. Small note, whilst I did like the music made for this music video, it's catchy and has a quite somber tone and a nice little chorus, and I very much enjoyed it. However, it's far from my favourite. As I've said in previous Vivinos videos, Round 2's song and Automoroid are still on top in my eyes by a huge margin. Anyway, without further discussion, let's jump into the actual music video itself for Alien Stage Round 3. The video starts off with the round start screen that we've become all too familiar with, as it appears in all the other rounds, introducing us to this battle's participants. We see Ivan, who has appeared in numerous teasers and promotional material for Alien Stage, pitted up against this person, who we all know isn't going to be surviving this round at all. This dude isn't the main character here. We then get the 2 participants slowly rising to the stage like we saw in the previous round with Till. The music in the background seemingly being much more slower paced than round 2 as well. However, it has a similar sort of kick drum in the back to what Till had in his song, which is quite intriguing, as the video does focus on Till quite a bit. Like all the previous rounds, we get a flashback to Ivan's backstory. We see him being dangled off of a rooftop by an alien, all the while Ivan seems somewhat unshaken and merely stares at the stars moving light years away. In this little scene, we can also see how industrialised the world has become, Earth itself resembling the intro to Blade Runner more so than the world we know today. Even if we shake our heads, it's always the same place. I think this line greatly encapsulates Ivan's feelings about the state of the world he is now in. No matter how much he wills it, he is still stuck on this rock, acting as a slave. We flash forward back to Ivan on stage, singing as he slowly reminisces about his tragic past. We see just how large his captor was, as well as how high he was, being dangled by the scruff of his neck. We also see that Ivan wasn't the only child owned by this large creature. I can't reach you, so I imagine alone. You who shine, I stand next to you. Ivan is filled with hopelessness, understandably enough, from the idea of not only being stuck on this infernal rock as a slave forever, but also being alone. He yearns for someone to stand next to. The desolate and dank cityscape fills the atmosphere with a dirtied colour palette of browns and greys, all the while in the background we can see the Starship Enterprise. What the Vivinos must like Star Trek or something, or whoever worked on this video does, but fair enough, I guess. Ivan then makes his body go limp, throwing his head back while his life is in the hands of his captor. Tears filling his eyes as he longs to be far away from here. Then a shadow covers him, we see him at an auction where he's being sold, collar around his neck, hands cuffed, followed by him in a luxury home surrounded by saccharine sweets and lavish meals. Then we see his new owners praising him for seemingly winning an award, petting him like a dog. Just from this shot we can see how hopeless it seems for Ivan, given the large and imposing figures of his owners. And throughout this small montage, Ivan's face remains completely dejected and apathetic. Meanwhile, we get the name of the song dropped in the lyrics. The dark sea gets deeper as you approach, like a black, black sorrow. The song's name being Black Sorrow, if you couldn't tell. We then continue the montage to see him learning how to sing with some of the other child prisoners, but as they all laugh and play in the fraction of free time they are given by their alien overlords, Ivan remains alone, just as stoic as ever, away from the other humans, seemingly remaining in involuntary solitude. Also, let me say this. Don't remember these characters' faces, they're clearly not going to show up again in this narrative. We then see a familiar sight as the camera gets closer and closer to Ivan's face. We see the red flowers that SUA and Mizzy have, the flowers that Till became obsessed with. They just fly past Ivan's face, which makes sense as we then see Till run straight past Ivan, not seeing him. Till leaves his holographic prison for some reason. Ivan follows, seemingly out of curiosity, as his face and demeanour remain stoic. We cut back to the present tense in which we see Ivan's opponent literally singing for his life. And Ivan, as a result, just kind of gives him one of the nastiest stink eyes I've seen for a while. I don't know why, just this shot just made me giggle when I first saw it. He then continues to sing, and we return to his past. He silently observes Till and Mizzy as they're seemingly attacked by some sort of alien hound, most likely a guard dog for their prison, as Mizzy and Till appear to have tried to escape. But we slowly see Till get up and fight back, as Mizzy just sort of stands in horror, and Ivan just observes in trepidation. Returning to the stage, we hear Ivan sing a couple bars in English again as we return to the chorus. Black, black as it can be. And not gonna lie, some of these shots are just visually very, very pretty to look at. We yet again flash back, most likely to Ivan after Till's failed escape attempt with Mizzy. We see him locked up in multiple vices, in a straitjacket and chains, or whatever these alien equivalent of chains is. Ivan then frees Till. The two escape hand in hand as we see what appears to be a meteor shower or falling ships in the background that dye the sky a bright orange as the two run around freely. We actually finally see a smile appear on Ivan's face for once, whilst he's with Till. We cut again to the present to see Till, after his beating from the end of round 2, waking up, seemingly reacting to Ivan's scar as it rises and rises. The past grows more saddening, however, as Till lets go of Ivan's hand. Ivan in complete and utter shock. Till proceeds to sheepishly return back to his prison just so he can be close to Mizzy. Now we truly understand what Ivan means by his black sorrow. The only person he can smile with will never feel the same way about him. When the two have their only ever chance of actual escape together, Till chose to go back to the prison, to Mizzy. But Ivan, just in as much of a love-filled daze as Till, does the exact same, but for Till, staying in the competition instead of attempting escape. You're always for me, Black Sorrow. When we return to the stage, we get a very intriguing shot. As throughout this song we have been watching Ivan reminisce about his past with Till, we see his fate contort in sadness for a split second. But as he says the word sorrow, his demeanour drops and returns to how it was before he knew Till, looking completely cold. It's a cool shot, and the animators really portrayed emotion really strongly here. I just really like this shot. To me, you are Black Sorrow. We then see the stars as Ivan sings, and we cut to black, only to return to him staring at the camera calmly as his score rises to 90 behind him, even higher than Mizzy's and SUA's 87 and 86 respectively. I'd compare his score to Till, but he just kind of won by default and we didn't get a chance to see his score, I don't think. So, you never know, Till might have got a high score. I mean, I like the song more, but that's just me. We cut again to black, and we see a small teaser for the next round, featuring this character, Luca, I think they were called, playing with a Rubik's Cube. To be honest, don't really care about this dude right now, but hey, why not? Maybe he's got cool music. Maybe, we don't really know right now. So, overall, what does round 3 mean? In a nutshell, round 3 focuses on the backstory of Ivan and the reason for his infatuation with Till. It is presented to us with very pretty and sharp visuals and a relatively catchy song. We also get a teaser for the next round in this project, which is pretty neat. The video overall feels more like it is providing context for future rounds that will contain the two more so than a music video providing us with a singular narrative. But overall, altogether, I very much quite enjoyed it. Seeing the new alien designs as well as the Starship Enterprise for some reason, it put a smile on my face. However, while it helped me and some of the other viewers, I hope, understand the relationship between Ivan, Till and Mizzy and the relationship dynamics between them, not much new information is really being presented here that we haven't already been presented with through promotional material and teasers. But it is a very pretty package to look at. We already knew Ivan wants Till wants Mizzy, and Mizzy wants SUA, and SUA wants to not be dead. We already kind of just knew all of this from artwork and stuff posted on Vivinos' community page and Twitter. However, what we did learn is some small pieces of Ivan's backstory and a more in-depth introduction of his relationship with Till. And even still, there's not an awful lot here. However, I feel like all that will change once we see the two go head-to-head, and to be honest, the thing I am most curious about is how the music itself will reflect the two characters and their emotions during the tournament, as well as how their different styles of music will reflect that. I mean, with Ivan, we have a slow, methodical, depressing ballad about a black sorrow, whilst with Till, he's singing a punk song that reminds me of a Black Clover opening. I'm quite excited to see how the musical styles combine when Ivan and Till go head-to-head in the future. It's got me pretty hype for the future of the series. Honestly, the prospect of Till and Ivan got me more excited than the next round, if I'm perfectly honest. My prediction for the round between Till and Ivan is, I don't know. I think it would be more of an interesting dynamic if Ivan won and Till died, because we'd have a completely melancholic Ivan, more than likely going against a completely apathetic Mizzy, which I think would be a quite interesting dynamic. Yes, there's two of the characters in the tournament, but let's be real, neither of those two are winning, are they? On the other hand, Till versus Mizzy would be intriguing too. I believe Till will win between Ivan and Till, but to be honest, I just think if Ivan won, it'd be a nice cool twist and make that narrative just a bit more engaging, but overall, I'm not too bothered. Either way, I'm getting more Till music, which I am more than fine with. So, it's fair to say the next song will focus on Luca and Huna, I think that's what their names were, and these two characters as of right now have only had little bits of context and backstory provided through artwork posted on Vivinos' Twitter, in which Huna acts as somewhat of like a big sister and teacher figure to like Till and Mizzy, meaning she's more than likely older than the other contestants, so it's possible she's a previous winner of Alien Stage and her reward is that she teaches the new contestants how to sing or whatever. I don't know. It is one aspect about the next round that does really intrigue me. Anyway, with all that out the way, Alien Stage, round 4. Oh, wait, no. Round 5. We skipped straight across round 4 because, well, let's find out why. Let's get some of the quick context out of the way. Alien Stage is a currently ongoing series created by the Korean animation channel, Vivinos. I've covered every round of Alien Stage that's been made up to this point, as well as every major video created by Vivinos so far. And if you've got 3 hours to spare, feel free to check out this video that goes over all of it. Shameless plug aside, round 5 has a lot for us to unpack and theorise about, mainly centering around Mizzy and Luca. With a little bit of Huna, with that little bit of preamble out of the way, let's get into it. P.S. I just want to add, as soon as I start finally getting around to finishing non-Vivinos related videos for the channel, Vivinos uploads again. Great. R.I.P. my free time. Anyway, round 5. Your first emotion when watching the original video, or even just watching the premiere, like I did, was probably confusion. Like, round 5? What happened to round 4? Well, during this animation's introduction, we see the results of round 4. Luca versus this unnamed character. When you first watch of round 5, it can be kind of difficult to make out what's on screen during this intro, as it goes by relatively fast. From what it looks like, we see Luca's previous opponent from round 4. Given this character's fate, victim seems like a more accurate name than opponent, to be honest, given the state that they're in. We see them face down in a pool of their own blood, laying across a brightly lit stage. As blood drips down the deceased's hand, we hear the echo of a nice piano riff in the background, followed by a nice, smooth voice coming in with no lyrics. And of course, Luca comes over, kisses the corpse's hand, and smears his mouth with blood, with said corpse's blood. To be honest, I am not surprised by this. I mean, if you wear a shirt that's this baggy, you've probably got some mental problems. We return to the tournament graphic that we've seen in every other round, showing us the results of round 4, as well as who we will see in round 5, Mizzy vs Luca. The graphic itself is actually just a projection on the stage in which Mizzy and Luca will sing. We get a couple of shots of Mizzy now sporting a strange purple jewel on her forehead, not connected to any sort of headdress or anything. It's literally embedded in her forehead. Then the strings come in the background, followed by the drums. Luca smiles as the two performers begin to walk on the stage. As the stage lights begin to roar along with the crowd, Luca gets a look at Mizzy's face and lets out a cheeky whistle of approval. He then begins to sing. Overall, the sing is majorly sung in Korean from what I can tell, with a couple of lines in English, so I'll be using the captions created by Vivinos when discussing the lyrics. You can turn away from the light, you can even outburn the sun, my star. He sings as he gets up close and whispers in her ear. Also, when we see Luca about to approach Mizzy, we get a good shot of Luca's hands, and they're really bluish purplish, and they just look incredibly unhealthy, like a corpse's, ironically enough. It's consistent in every shot we see of him with his hands in the shot, so it seems relevant to mention. The two get ready to perform and pick up their mics as Luca continues. You're the perfect subject, with the whole world in your sad eyes. Luca starts to peek at his opponent as Mizzy seems apprehensive about the whole thing. Luca begins to circle around Mizzy whilst he's singing, like a hunter with its prey. We then get a close-up of the two. Luca looking unwavering and dead focused on Mizzy, while she herself just looks afraid. My saviour, my beautiful soul. The first line, my saviour, being sang in English. All the while, Luca is looking Mizzy up and down, while she is giving the most hardcore side eye, like, god damn, she really does not want to be here. Then Mizzy's voice comes in a little bit. I don't believe you. You are a liar. Luca continues singing in front of a sky filled only by the moon, when our darknesses overlap. He then begins to turn into SUA. Yes, some people say it's pronounced sewer or whatever, but since it's in all caps on her neck, I don't care. I'm going to keep capitalizing it. Upon seeing the closest person to her reappear from beyond the grave, Mizzy just kind of freezes. The way the shots are framed suggests that these couple shots of SUA are from Mizzy's point of view. Let me take it all away. Then we get a nice, catchy little chorus with the repetition of the line, ruler of my heart. All the while Mizzy is in complete disbelief and shock, being forced to dance with Luca while he remains stone-faced, until she begins to fight back and he restrains her. You are forever beautiful. The chorus continues as we see more of the setting, seeing numerous floors of this stage with a spiralling staircase floating above. Mizzy herself collapsed onto the ground and stares into her own reflection in a pool of water below her as Luca continues to sing. We cut to what seems to be a theatre that has the flashback from Alien Stage Round 1 playing in the background with Luca in front of it. He reaches towards Mizzy's chin as we hear the line, the endless walls, a fall with no ground. Mizzy responds, in a single moment, breaking down, as her eyes turn toward him as he appears as the reflection in her eye. Gem still on her forehead. They appear on stage again. I go blind and deaf. Mizzy here is singing along, but we just can't hear her voice. She's completely shaken. Luca sings My World Collapsing, smirking all the while. We then cut to black and get a view of the audience as the spotlight changes colour. My saviour, beautiful lady. The audience praises Luca as his arms open, accepting their grace, while Mizzy just stares silently. Make me your god. I can give you everything. SUA appears behind Mizzy, looking as she did when the two were younger, followed by her then appearing as she did at the end of round 1. Dead as hell. Let me take it all away. Mizzy then gets a full-on brain blast and sees everything that's happened this round, as only her eyes are displayed on screen as they slowly warp and transform. Then she sees round 1 play again in her mind, seeing her flashback with SUA as well as the two's performance, as well as the roaring crowd that followed SUA's death. All the while the chorus continues to play, ruler of my heart. Her face drops as she snaps back to reality and immediately begins to start choking Luca.
Thank you!
Her eyes glowing as she does so. Luca's eyes, however, are not. His face contorts into a mixture of disbelief and pain, the line work of the two characters becoming more and more wavy and unruly as Mizzy proceeds to beat Luca as much as she can before she's torn off of his body. Obviously, as this is happening, Luca's being beaten, so he can't exactly sing, so the lyrics stop around this part. It's just the instrumental in the background. The crowds watch, holding their breath as security pulls Mizzy off, leaving Luca's smirk to return to his face. Even though it's dampened by his own blood, Mizzy is properly going for it as well. I mean, her shoes are just gone and she is kicking and screaming as she really wants to beat the living hell out of this man. We see Mizzy with a gun to her head, more than likely about to get shot to death, and this round being counted as a disqualification. And since Luca isn't being choked anymore, the lyrics come back in for the chorus. We cut to black, return to the crowd's shocked expressions, including Till. The arena is now filled with smoke. Luca looks even more beaten than before as armed figures in hoods get rid of the security that were about to kill Mizzy. Luca's face no longer carries a smile as he sees Hyuna carry away Mizzy into the distance amidst the smoke. We get the results screen again that we've seen in every other Alien Stage round, but this time we get a nice little glitch as the screen flashes red. Mizzy missing, error, and the video ends. Now, what does all this mean? Well, from what I can tell, this round of Alien Stage focuses around a still mourning Mizzy being pitted up against Luca, who attempts to hypnotise her or something similar to make her see images of SUA to ensure his victory, as he is in fact the previous winner of the Alien Stage competition. Then, at the moment where Mizzy snaps according to Luca's plan, he is then thwarted by some sort of resistance headed by Hyuna, who then in turn saves Mizzy at the last second from being executed. All the lyrics and visuals all allude to the fact that Luca was attempting to replace SUA in Mizzy's mind with lines that call back to round 1, such as the line "Make me your god" in round 5 and the line in round 1, "My god, my universe," being used to refer to SUA from Mizzy's perspective in her little monologue. Luca is attempting to replace SUA in Mizzy's mind, hence the scene in the theatre, and more than likely the gem on Mizzy's forehead, which wasn't present in any other previous rounds. However, Luca may or may not have known that this would be ineffective and only kind of piss Mizzy off. He did so that she would lash out at him, 100% guaranteeing his victory in the 5th round. He showed Mizzy visions of SUA to keep her abated for a short time, all the while waiting for said visions to eventually cause Mizzy to snap, which then again leads into her beating Luca to a pulp to his delight until she is then saved by Hyuna and her crew, much to both his and the audience's shock, which then in turn causes the tournament screen to glitch and give us the ending we all saw. Overall, the narrative in this one doesn't really have too many moving parts. It's relatively simple narrative-wise, from what I can tell. The music, while good, is not the best. So far, Till's song from round 2 is still the GOAT so far, and it was pretty. It was nice to look at, and it was, enjoyable to watch, whilst also setting up plot threads in the future with Hyuna and Mizzy's return. In conclusion, it's another song about another character obsessed with Mizzy. We've never seen that before. Alien Stage Round 6, as of the creation of this video, is currently the most recent video from our favourite Korean animation channel, Vivinos, not including this teaser for the final round, of course. It's been a good while since I've talked about Vivinos on this channel, so there's a bit of a channel update at the end of the video. Skip to this timestamp if you don't care about Vivinos, but for now, let's just get into Round 6 of Alien Stage. Though I haven't covered all of the main Alien Stage videos on Vivinos' channel, those of which being Mizzy Sewer, Top 3 and All In, respectively, I will mention them and the actions thereof if any events in them are referenced here in round 6. But enough preamble, let's get into the first Vivinos analysis in over a year. Now, as this music tournament arc draws to its conclusion, the situation is becoming more and more dire for our only 3 contestants left in the tournament, those of which, of course, being the GOAT, Till, Ivan, and Luca. Yes, of course, we know Mizzy is alive after being saved by Hyuna, but since she's not active in the Alien Stage itself, after going missing at the end of round 5, she doesn't count as a participant anymore. So, after Mizzy disappears, the bracket we are left with for this round has Ivan and Till face off. The winner of this battle will then in turn face off against Luca in the final round of Alien Stage. So fair to say this is a pretty important match, and on top of that, to complicate matters, as we've seen with previous rounds, community post art from Vivinos, Ivan is pretty infatuated with Till, which is difficult for Ivan, as Till himself is infatuated with Mizzy, who is also in turn in love with Sewer, which is unfortunate because, however, given Mizzy's disappearance in the previous round, Till is under the assumption that she's dead, and as a result is in a state of mourning. I mean, look at him, completely dressed in black. He clearly is not happy at this moment in time. The visuals start off with a small montage of Till, both him as well as others being tortured. A heartbeat can be heard slowly gaining speed in the background. As more and more of these flashbacks are shown, the heartbeat grows louder, more audible. The camera gets closer and closer to Till's face, static and distortion surrounding him. We get some strange accompanying visuals as well. A shot of someone being restrained and examined by their alien captors, followed by a shot of Till being restrained, which I'm not a fan of, as this shot is very much not my cup of tea. On a visual level, it shows a juxtaposition between Till and most other contestants, given his punk aesthetic, him smashing poor Freddy here, and everything we've seen him do so far. It just highlights how much this dude tries to rebel, which will be shown more of later. And as the heartbeat in the background flatlines, we get one more visual, which is something I'm not so sure on. I'd love you guys' input on this. A wall appears showing us some silhouettes, one of which with a good old red X on top. I thought this may potentially link to the end of the video, which shows us Huna being injured and probably on her way out, so to speak, but that doesn't look like a silhouette of her hair, and why would that visual be a part of these shots with Till? It seems that it might be Mizzy in the middle there, but I'm not sure with this one. I'll need your help with this. It's been a while, okay? I need to scrape the rust off of my Vivinos knowledge, okay? Till flashes away and the music comes in. Another thing of note, in my opinion, which doesn't hold too much credence to the narrative, but it's just how much older Till looks, in my opinion. Just look at this side by side. I get that he'd look different due to his emotional state, but not physically older. I mean, we see Mizzy at the end of the video, and though she has shorter hair, she still looks like she did when she was still in the tournament and in All In. In the promotional stuff around the stadium during All In, we get a visual of Till, and he looks like he did before. Same in top 3. It's just here for some reason he looks a hell of a lot older to me. I don't know if this was an art choice or something, but it's just something of note in my opinion. Also, P.S. Mizzy losing her hair like that in All In is neat, but that's not how guns work, okay? That's not how it works. If this does well, maybe I'll cover All In as well, who knows? As the screen goes dark, this darkness is interrupted by a single spotlight shining on Till. In the center stage, he starts to sing. Allow me to the tips of your fingers, allow me to the ends of your feet. As he sings, his profile appears behind him, accompanied by his score. A scenario we've grown all too familiar with. Dissolve me in your gaze, I don't want to let you go. This song, out of the two we've seen Till perform, is much more melancholic. It's slow, light drums and cymbals methodically and steadily going in the background. Then we suddenly cut to a not so distant flashback. Usually flashbacks in the Alien stage take us back to Enact Garden, at least I think that's how you say it, but for once we see somewhere different. This flashback seemingly takes place just after Mizzy's performance with Luca, and in turn, around the time of her disappearance. Till is seemingly being forced to sing karaoke by his guardian/prison guard Urak here, and if we take a closer look at the lyrics Urak chose for him to sing, he wants Till to sing My Clematis. My Clematis? Could never pronounce that right. This song, of course, being duetted by Mizzy and Sue in round 1 of Alien Stage. Till obviously does not want to take part in singing this song due to how important the song was to Mizzy. Urak, annoyed with another one of Till's defiant acts, throws his face in front of a tabloid reporting on Mizzy's possible demise. Please, hurt me so that not a single drop of me remains. Till, understandably, proceeds to attack the closest creature to him in a fit of rage after being forced to live with the possibility that the person he's had unrequited love for his entire life may be dead. So he grabs the nearest bottle, and aliens he will throttle. Let me drown in you until these falling stars are buried in the blare of time. The song continues as we flash back to Till on stage, as well as more and more of this karaoke incident and the result of it. And let me say this. You can tell when Q Main is the one who's animating or has a strong influence on the scene a lot of the time, because it just looks a lot more suggestive. I mean, Till should be battered, bruised and bleeding here, not sweating and biting his lip. Maybe that's just me, but Jesus. Till, in a daze, hallucinates Mizzy in front of him, reaching out. Till tries to reach out and grab her, and he seemingly just passes out. On your icy lips, read my soul, yes, my soul. We then get a bit of an intermission. The singing stops. The song's focus seemingly transitions away from Till and onto his competitor. We get some more flashbacks. Shocker, of course, I know. But this time we see Till, and him initially being sold on discount, bruised and yet again rebelling against his captors, resulting in him being 50% off. Ivan then appears for the first time in this round, as part of another flashback. Maybe this is during Ivan's initial purchase, seeing Till for the first time. Ivan himself being just as battered and bruised as Till. Maybe he was once just as defiant. We then cut back to the karaoke place after all the disarray Till caused, as well as after all the aliens have left. Ivan removes Till's gag or whatever this is, and then proceeds to silently watch over him, knowing what comes next, the next round deciding both of their fates. Even in your cold words carve scars beneath my eyes. Ivan then appears on stage, finally, starting to sing, adorned all in white, almost like a groom on a wedding night, contrasting with Till's outfit choice, a nice little visual parallel that also harkens to Ivan's infatuation. It's nice and very clever. May they linger on your tongue, you can break me apart. Ivan's score then appears behind him, and as Ivan continues, we get another flashback to a nacked garden. The two get into a fight over Ivan stepping on this bed of flowers. These flowers are a constant piece that appears all throughout Alien Stage, but particularly it's shown to act as a visual metaphor to represent love. Sue gives her love to Mizzy in the form of a garland. Till sees that and tries to replicate it, but he keeps it to himself. Ivan stomps on these flowers, maybe representing his distaste towards Till's feelings towards Mizzy, or maybe it represents how before meeting Till, Ivan didn't need love. But after doing so, he seemingly grows obsessed. I mean, we also see something similar in round 3, a flower garland flying past Ivan's face, and just afterwards, Till rushes past him. A clear indication of the link between the visual motif of these flowers and love. However, there are a few ways you can interpret this fight between the two, as well as the use of these familiar flowers. Let me know what you think they represent below. Notice my pain and mend me right now. After the two scuffle and Ivan genuinely smiling, which is a rare occurrence in of itself, we see Ivan kind of follow Till around a bit, just slowly growing more and more consumed by his devotion to Till. To quiet my fears, I'll drown in you. We get a quick flashback to the flashback from round 3, where we see Ivan spying on Mizzy and Till as they wander into a tunnel in an act garden. As Till is getting attacked by an alien, we see Ivan silently watching as a voyeur. Then this is followed by another flash from round 3 showing Till and Ivan after Ivan freed Till and the two's escape attempt. Till then, of course, giving up on escaping after he realises he'd be leaving Mizzy trapped in the garden as well. Sick of these nights to come to be engulfed in silence. The camera lingers on Till. Despite his silence, we get a flashback to Till and Ivan again, and they're having a gay old time, licking blood and stuff. Lovely. In your gaze, where I'm seen, consume me. We cut back once more to the karaoke place, showing Ivan watching over the unconscious Till, holding him as he's passed out. Yes, me, to this everlasting melody. We cut back to this duet. Till resumes his performance, Ivan singing in succession. But when he looks at Till, Till stops singing. If he doesn't continue, it'll be a forfeit, and in turn, Till will forfeit his own life. Face to face we dance, with our story lost in forever's embrace. Ivan throws his mic to the ground, Till looking down, distraught. And then Ivan steals a kiss from Till. And this does not look reciprocated at all. Then it is immediately followed by a good bit of choking, because of course it is. As the instrumentals continue behind Ivan and his actions, Ivan checks the scores. Till was gonna win, but he stopped singing. Till is even fine with dying at this point. As Ivan chokes him, Till stops pushing and resigns himself to dying here. Then Ivan is shot from a distance. After the performance with Mizzy in round 5, security arrived too late at that point, resulting in Mizzy's disappearance, so they don't want to risk that sort of diversion and escape happening again. Ivan then looks down at his wounds, smiles, and stops choking Till. He didn't want to harm Till in the first place, he just wanted to be killed so that no matter what happened, Till would survive, and in the very least, go on to the next round and possibly win the whole tournament. We see a results screen behind Till, as he's reeling from the flashbang of events, the results saying he won, but he is also in shock from Ivan's death. We see Till's winning result reflected in Ivan's blood, a clear visual metaphor for his literal blood and sacrifice keeping Till winning and alive. The final shot we see of these two is Till stood above Ivan's body. The spotlight that initially started the music has ended, and they both fade into the darkness. Till also has some goddamn shiny shoes here. Jesus. We're then met with a results screen, which we have seen one too many times, showing us that the final round is next, between Luca and the new winner, Till. But as the results screen leaves us, we are shown two of Huna's men from All In acting frantic, trying to contact Huna over the radio. However, Huna is injured and bleeding, and Mizzy is panicking. As the two have alerted security, the two intruders have been found, and we won't know their fate till the next round. With that, the video ends. Regarding the lyrics of the song, however, There are two major readings or interpretations you can have from them, and interestingly enough, since the song is also portrayed as kind of a duet, it ties into my reading of the lyrics as well. The lyrics themselves are clearly about a character with a very powerful and strong love for another. The most on the way nose to view the music is as Ivan's commentary on the situation, as the song's focus is on this seemingly unrequited love, and that would make sense as the song and video majorly focuses on Ivan's love for Till. However, given how common unrequited love is in Alien Stage, as well as anything Vivinos really, you could also infer these lyrics to be about Till's feelings for Mizzy. Yet again, the focus on unrequited love is quite heavy. The song also has some implications of death, like the line of everlasting melody. This could also be referring to Till letting Ivan kill him so he can be with Mizzy, or Ivan being with Till in death in the future. That would make sense, since it's immediately followed by the line, face to face we dance. And who's on stage singing? Ivan and Till. Bear in mind, unless the person who wrote the lyrics, or Vivinos themselves, or whoever flat out states the intentions with these lyrics, it's up for interpretation, so let me know how you feel about this round as well as my analysis below. In conclusion, it was cool, it was very gay, and it made me uncertain of where the series will go. I don't really have any predictions beyond Luca probably getting killed, but nothing more than that. I have no idea who will actually win. Vivinos' channel for the longest time has been almost exclusively focused on content surrounding Alien Stage for a good minute. While that leaves people like me who preferred the horror content of years past in the dust, Alien Stage is still pretty enjoyable to watch over time. It kinda has the feeling of a weird K-pop ARG. However, with this video from Vivinos, a major question was posed. Is Alien Stage over? Is this era coming to an end? Are we finally getting back to the PVC, or even better, the old school horror stuff? No, it's not. Despite the name of this round literally being final, do not let that fool you. This is far from the last round of Alien Stage we'll see, or at least it's not the final video we'll see on Alien Stage on a whole from Vivinos. There are too many members of the cast alive for the story to be over. There are too many questions and too many unresolved plot points for the story to be over yet. And obviously, Wiege was released a week or so ago, so yeah, this final is not a finale. So with that being said, let's get into what actually happens on this deceptively titled video called Final. A video that shows us the conclusion of this tournament arc filled with boys' love, bloodshed and bopping tunes. The tournament itself concludes with a competition with the previous Alien Stage pedigree, Luca, who's won several stages in the past, and our lovable underdog, Till. Spoiler alert, I mean you probably saw Final before clicking on this video, but this doesn't end well, and my favourite character dies here. In most of my Vivinos analysis stuff, I usually look at the lyrics as they appear alongside the visuals. However, since this song is a lot more poppy, like genre-wise, it feels a lot more like a pop song when compared to the pump rock or macabre somber tones that we see in the other songs, and as a result of the more pop-like nature of this song, the final round, the song's lyrics have a whole lot more of repetition than the other songs. Like, this song feels as if it was made more so to be catchy than it was to link directly to the visuals and its overall message. And it works. I mean, In a Blink Gone is catchy, but as a result, I'll focus a bit less on some of the lyrics since, as I said, they get repeated a whole lot. So let me just go through the chorus really quick and give you a brief overview of the entire lyrics themselves, and then we'll get into the analysis of the video. Or In a Blink Gone, Blink Gone. There are many different lyrical variations here, and then we have blink and gone. The clock goes tick tock, blink, gone. Overall, I interpret these lyrics quite brazenly commentating on the suddenness and abruptness of character deaths in the series, as well as just how quickly life can suddenly end as well. How quickly time itself passes. In a blink, it's gone. In a blink, the good times are over. In a blink, you could lose your life or someone around you could. The sequential tick tock helps push these themes of passing time as well, and giving the events of this round of the tournament, this message of abrupt endings is quite apt. I mean, spoiler for a video you've probably watched before you came here, Till is pretty dead. His death mirrored Sewers in round 1, which adds a level of irony to these lyrics, which, as I said, highlight how quickly life can be lost. And as soon as he finishes singing these lyrics, his life is lost. In a blink, it's gone. Also, these lyrics are passed between both Luca and Till. You may also be able to speculate from that maybe Luca might not last much longer in the series. Maybe time is ticking down for the both of them. And as we see at the end of this round, Till doesn't get a happy ending before his time runs out, and maybe Luca isn't far behind. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get into the actual analysis. This video starts with a little montage showing us close-ups of our two contestants with their new outfits. The clothes they're wearing here lending themselves to the aforementioned K-pop style, looking a lot more trendy, yet fitting their respective aesthetics to some degree. As we see this quick clothes montage, the lighting blends with their outfits and the music comes in with the song's beat. The lights themselves being a neon green matching Till's clothes. And Till starts the video singing the previously mentioned hook, or In a Blink Gone. blink, gone, I can't let it go, blink and gone. Maybe the line, I can't let it go, is referring to Till's unrequited love for Mizzy, which is something we'll see flashed back to towards the end of the video and has remained a constant thread throughout the majority of Alien Stage, or at least during Till's appearances in it, which makes sense as it's Till who sings these lines. However, after singing said lines, Luca repeats it with a small variation. The clock goes tick-tock, just enjoy it, blink, gone, or in a blink, gone. You could see the fact that Luca is the one singing about just enjoying it. You could view this as some sort of omen. He's won plenty of Alien Stages in the past, and he's sure as hell not losing one now. He's telling Till to enjoy it, enjoy his finite time left. Not just time left on stage, but the time he has before he dies. As soon as the song ends, in a blink, it's gone. I click my fingers there. I don't know if you could tell. Doesn't make sense for me to click my fingers. I don't have my cam on, but click my fingers anyway. With these two lines, we get these tilting close-ups of Till and Luca, showing us their outfits on a closer scale for the final round. And I have to say, I'm kinda disappointed. Till usually was supposed to feel like a rebellious punk, and now he's just dressed in this neon green standard K-pop outfit. Kind of a shame, really. Especially when we see the contestants creating and styling their outfits in Wiege. It makes these outfits feel a bit meh to me. Well, Till's at least anyway. Luca's outfit makes him feel more like an extra member of the Scissor Sisters more than anything else. It's nothing extraordinary. But as Luca finishes his line, the camera pulls out and we see the two on stage with roaring fans surrounding them. Luca sings, "Let's go. This moment won't ever come back. The party's getting crazy and let's go crazy high." As Till is singing along, he's also pausing, pointing to the side, pointing to the sky, looking defiant all the while. Then Luca continues, "Wave both hands, let the rhythm take over. This music on and on." As Luca sings here, however, we get some interesting visuals. We get to see a versus screen, which appears behind the two, showing their childhood photos, as well as this charming fellow. This is Urak, Till's guardian, watching his pet, Till, sing and dance on stage for his life, whilst Urak here simply watches on inquisitively. Then Luca appears again on screen as he starts to sing, yet again. "The verdant lights tickle my eyes, and I smile." As Luca sings, we get some more things of interest on screen. The camera pulls out of the visual of Luca singing on stage, showing him on a monitor. Then this shot changes angle to reveal Mizzy and Huna watching the performance from the master control room for the stage. Huna here is injured, and Mizzy is loading a gun. What we're seeing here is more of Mizzy and Huna's plot, which was continued after round 5 with Mizzy versus Luca, and then continued past that through All In, and the final scene at the end of round 6, before this piercing, radiant moment fades away. Mizzy then looks on in horror as she sees one of the few people left from her childhood who she cares for, singing for their life, just as she had done herself 2 rounds prior, fearing that he will meet the same fate as Sua. The lyrics here are seemingly foreshadowing Till's demise, the piercing, radiant moment before his life fades away. Till then tries to take back the reins, so to speak, and continues singing, but goes tit for tat with Luca. Or in a blink gone, forget everything and just enjoy. Or in a blink gone, don't miss this moment. I'm telling you, blink gone, leave no regrets. Luca and Till on stage singing about forgetting about everything and just enjoying life, leaving no regrets, not missing the moment. This further cements the lyrics as being a cruel form of foreshadowing. It's pretty on the nose, to be honest, as these lyrics are sung to both the audience watching on their screens, us, and the audience around the stage. We get some really beautiful visuals. I do really like the compositing here. It just looks so nice and it blends really well. The VFX people did some really nice work here. But as the lyrics take a deep breath and go on a break, we are met with Till picking up a guitar and playing along, which is then in turn met with Luca following suit with a violin in hand. Mizzy, obviously fearful for her friend's life, attempts to immediately run to the stage, much to the protest of Huna. This will not end well for either of them. Mizzy, of course, ignores Huna's disapproval, rips her arm away and heads towards the stage. As I said before, this will not end well. But in a blink gone, relish the present in a blink gone. We return to the stage and the two are continuing their performance. However, the body language of the two is much different. Luca stares at his hands, similarly to how he did in Wiege in the past, and Till has his head hunched over, but raises it high as he continues to sing. Still defiant, but he's growing tired. Red lights then flash behind him as we cut back to Mizzy. Clear your mind, leave your burdens behind. Make this party yours, and no, don't look back now. We see Mizzy trying to sneak away towards the stage, and in the process we see her using this poor little smoke grenade guy, sneaking past a guard thanks to this little guy's sacrifice. The lyrics also kind of feel directed towards Mizzy and maybe Till as well at this point. If the two intend to survive, they need to clear their minds, remain calm and collected, and take control. Make this party theirs. Neither yesterday nor tomorrow exist for me. It's this moment or no. We then cut back to Hyuna trying to unlock a door. Thrilling stuff, but it's seemingly the door that allows her to show up at the end of this round, as well as members of the resistance as we see in Wiege. But as this video continues, we see Luca is back to his old tricks, emulating previous participants from Alien Stage, just as we saw in round 5 with Mizzy and Sua. The dark crimson air embraces us, lifting our spirits, and the fiery thrill blazes out to the sky. Till is defiant at first, which is kind of his thing to be honest, pulling away from Luca as he tries to get close and manipulate Till into seeing visions of Ivan, similarly to what he did with Mizzy. However, this act of defiance of Till pulling himself away thrills Luca. I mean, look at his face. He rarely opens his mouth wide to smile at all, or if he does, it's a mask more than anything. But here, he's straight up blushing in the same way he does when he sees Hyuna, so Till acting so brazenly and fighting back towards Luca makes Luca very happy. But then we get another repeat of the main chorus, Blink Gone, etc., and we get to see Till sweating bullets as the song draws closer to its end. We get a result screen of this round appearing with close-ups of each performer. Luca first, Till second. The final scores tally as the chorus repeats again. Till's guitar disappears from his hands and he resigns himself to his fate. But before he leaves this plane of existence, Luca is just going to twist the knife a little bit more, so to speak. As Hyuna is still unlocking this door, lovely, just get the door open, we get to see flashes of round 6. Ivan stealing a kiss and then his subsequent demise. Till's eyes grow deader as he knows what happens next. Visions of Ivan appear on the screen behind the two, one seemingly from round 3, and I think, and the second one being from round 6. Then, as Till is about to kick the bucket, Luca shows him a vision of Ivan. We know Luca's won, the audience knows Luca's won. This is just for Luca's pleasure, forcing Till into a deeper despair before his demise. Then he sees Mizzy. He simply continues the song for a few more bars, seemingly singing through his final chorus, and he does so while attempting to rush towards Mizzy, blushing away as he does so. Luca seemingly continue to sing as well. Mizzy and Till attempt to reach for each other's hands one final time. Blink, gone. Luca wins. Till meets a fate eerily similar to that of Sua, meeting his maker before Mizzy's eyes from a fatal attack from the collars on their necks, or some sort of, neck injury. The despair that was filling Till after seeing visions of Ivan and knowing of his imminent death, that despair is then pushed and forced upon Mizzy, who sees another person who she was close to pass in front of her own eyes. The audio from the guitar Till was playing then slowly fades as the screen goes to black. However, the video isn't over yet. We get a flashback. Wow, that's crazy, I didn't expect that. We see Till and Mizzy somewhere around a Nacht garden, hiding from some sort of robot patrolling the facility, the two having to get close to each other to remain hidden. Till blushing as Mizzy smiles and laughs. It's wholesome, and almost childlike music chimes kind of play in the background, the only sound we can hear. Then we are brutally brought to the present. Mizzy with tears streaming down and off her face onto what life remains inside Till's body. As we see Till twitching, trying to move his hand towards Mizzy's, the crowd's cheering comes back in. This is what they wanted. Then his hand goes limp and falls back down to the stage. They aren't alone on the stage, however. Luca's eyes are met with Hyuna's, who finally got that door open. They both remain still on stage, and then we cut to black as the crowd's echoes disappear. Of course, then the result screen shows us the winner of this round, and it sure as hell wasn't Till. Overall, this was a cool round. Unlike a lot of the other rounds, it wasn't 19 million flashbacks in the span of 4 minutes, which is pretty much all the other Alien Stage rounds. I thought the music was catchy. It was no round 2, don't get me wrong, but hey, what is? My main man Till is obviously out the story now, so it's all going to be downhill from here. Alien Stage is over. Well, it should be, given the fact we've already had the final round, yet we're still here. And we recently got the release of Wiege, I think that's how it's pronounced, on Valentine's Day no less. So let's talk about it. Before I talk about what's said in the video, before I talk about the visuals, before any of that, the title, Wiege. This is the German word for cradle. Well, what does that mean in the context of this video? As we'll later see in the video, it can pertain to a few different things. It can be referring to the Nacht Garden as a cradle for the performers of Alien Stage. It could be referring to Luca's almost childlike nature despite the seriousness of the situation that he is in. Or maybe it's the fact that the lyrics of this song are in the form of a lullaby, as if singing to a child in a cradle. It has a few different possible meanings, and feel free to let me know what you think they could be below. But let's get into the actual analysis. As soon as the video begins, we are met with a direct continuation to what we see in the previous video in Alien Stage's catalogue, Final Round. Don't worry, I'll go back and cover that in the next video. We see the scene directly after Till's death in the titular Final Round. In Wiege, we are immediately met by Luca's gaze as he slowly realises that Hyuna is in front of him. His smile widening and blushing with joy, Yet Hyuna's face doesn't reciprocate. She covers her face, raises her hood, and looks away. If you listen as well, you may notice that when we see Luca, our ears are met with the crowds applauding his victory, but when we see Hyuna, we are met with silence. As a soft piano comes in and Luca attempts to approach Hyuna, a gun meets his temple. Though as if unaware of what is being pointed towards his skull, Luke's childlike smile still remains unwavered, aiming towards Hyuna, until we flash back to Luca's past as the lyrics start. The lyrics themselves are, as previously stated, they feel like a lullaby, and this gently starts with Hyuna's voice coming in with the lyrics. Hush my child, drift into slumber. The image we are greeted with is a confusing one. A young Luca covered in blood and viscera. The camera pulls out to reveal the scene he had created. Clones of himself, which had seemed to be in stasis, having been cut out of their pods and collapsed unmoving on the floor in front of a young Luca. A blade in his left hand, whilst his right is on a switch. More than likely the switch he pulled in an attempt to release his clones. We then see two masked figures approach him as we smash cut back to Anik's garden. Again, wow, shocker. In your dreams, you'll run and play. In paradise. These lyrics probably referring to the Anik's garden itself. We see Luca all on his own, sat in solitude as all the other children play. He fidgets and toys with his fingers until he's approached by Hyuna, as Luca joins in with his own vocals. Hush my child, gentle now. Go to sleep. We see another flashback, seeing how Hyuna lost her leg, whilst we also see flashes of Luca performing in an iteration of Alien Stage, as well as a flash of her brother, Hyun-woo. And somewhere in that moment, the lonely moon will dream. Then we see a broken Hyuna, hunched over on a couch, empty bottles surrounding her. Then we see her slowly gain a smile, as we see flashes of her with members of the resistance. However, as we see these happy moments, a macabre thing flashes between them. A quick flash of Hyun-woo with blood dripping down his face. Then Hyuna continues in this duet as the visuals change to Mizzy after the events of round 5. Her spirit is broken at this point after losing the person she was closest to. A silent, icy gaze falls upon us. We are then met by a seemingly injured Luca as his voice comes back in and the two harmonise, like a fragile reed trembling in fear. We see him staring at a wanted poster for Hyuna, meaning that this must be after Hyuna and Luca participated in Alien Stage previously. The camera pulls back and reveals that whilst Luca is highly monitored, as he always has been, he has also, like most Alien Stage members, found an unrequited love for another. We've never seen that before. We see wanted posters strewn across his room as he then proceeds to kiss the one above his bed. The gentle wind sways and dances. Now, this section of the visuals is a bit more fascinating to me. It shows us the participants of Alien Stage preparing their outfits for their performances. However, with the calming voices in the back and the warm visuals and the warm colours, it conveys that the preparation for this event was a much more joyful thing when compared to the rest of the tournament, creating an intriguing juxtaposition. I mean, just look at how Mizzy and Sua look preparing their dresses, and how focused Till is spray painting his clothes. It's portrayed in this very wholesome and warm way, which is contradicted by the fact that we know what will happen to the people who participate in Alien Stage. And look, we got Freddy in the back, the goat. Oh, my boy. We then get a brief shot of Ivan chilling in the mess hall, not much to say about that, but we then go to Hyuna and Luca alone on a hill together, as breath sinks deep with quiet longing. Hyuna crying with her back to Luca. As they are on this hill, they are surrounded by red flowers until we cut to a child's drawing of Hyuna, Luca and Hyun-woo playing happily in front of a tree where we saw Luca initially. Also more figures resembling Luca on the left, meaning that perhaps Luca wanted to free his clones and live happily with them, who knows. Then we see a warm shot of Hyun-woo and Hyuna smiling and laughing, and without a word, you'll embrace the sea that sings. We then cut to reality as a starving family eats and huddles together for warmth. Then two children writing messages and playing with some glass. These discounted children, similar to Till when we see him in his own flashbacks. Then we see the main four learning to sing and play music together. Mizzy and Sua smiling and laughing together, Ivan snatching gazes at Till as he remains unaware and playing a xylophone. The two smile as well. Then our eyes are met with another montage. As the lyrics leave us, the song's tone shifts and feels genuinely uplifting. Mizzy sees Sua's death as she looks towards the ground in despair. Hyuna is running away, smiling. Hyun-woo and Luca are playing whilst Luca has a beetle on his head. though he looks unamused by it and is maybe a precursor to Hyunwoo's death. Now, what we see next is a world that could have been a world without the alien overlords and masters, green trees, the real outdoors. We see Sua in school, Mizzy posing for Till, who's pursuing art, Ivan with a love note, probably for Till. I can't read Korean, so someone please feel free to tell me what it says below. We see Hyunwoo riding his bike, but most pertinent of all the things we see in this montage is a happily married Luca and Hyuna, the world that could have been. We then see a flower from that same hill Hyuna and Luca were on. The flower adorns Till's hair as he sings. We see Mizzy and Sua as Mizzy cries of this robotic fish, a shot reminiscent of the first alien stage round during the intro. We see Ivan watch Till as he draws a landscape that the two will never truly be able to see. We see Hyuna, Hyunwoo and Luca chatting together, followed by Mizzy's point of view of Sua's final moment on stage. A moment of beauty and peace. Then we see the monster that put the fear of death into Till and Mizzy during their accidental escape attempt. They're now being played with by the main four, but the tone slowly shifts back to reality. Hyunwoo is seen with a saddened expression on his face, Sean punching down towards Luca, starting the fight between the two that will conclude with the end of Hyunwoo's life. Some wholesome images of Hyuna with the resistance again smiling away. Then we are met with Luca seeing what is more than likely the clones that were used for spare parts to help him recover. But after that collection of montages, we return to the present. Mizzy mourning the loss of another one of her companions. A vision of Sua appears in a white light as Mizzy cries out. Then the lyrics come back. Wings drenched in longing unfold at last, like a fragile sprout. Hyuna is directing and leading members of the rebellion as Luca remains infatuated just by her presence alone. His fingers remain a dark purple as we see a brief glimpse of him in a similar situation in the past. Luca now with Till's corpse behind him in the present and with Hyunwoo's corpse behind him in the past. Yet in both cases he runs towards Hyuna with a smile, too small to hold, scattered sorrow. As Luca runs towards Hyuna in the present, the man that was holding a gun towards Luca's head prepares to fire. So Hyuna quickly shifts Luca out of the way and takes the bullet meant for him. We then cut back to the past. More of Hyuna's life in the rebellion, reacting to the deaths of one of its members, sways and dances as dawn rises. She remains stoic during the man's death. Then, as we cut to her after her escape from the alien stage, we see her at her most broken, literally after losing her leg, unshaken and sure, and without a word. Then we get to see how Hyuna actually reacted to her brother's death when Luca was resting against her back, blushing, blissfully unaware, her eyes were flooded with tears. Then we cut back again to the two's first encounter, with Luca alone at the tree and Hyuna harmlessly mimicking how Luca toyed with his own fingers. And as the two embrace as children, we cut back to the present to see the two's final embrace. You'll embrace the sea that sings. Tears well up in Luca's eyes whilst blood is spattered on his face. The lyrics leave us again, but we are finally given a bit of voice acting as the music is lowered, and Hyuna utters her final words. I resented you so. I had to keep moving forward in every moment. But you were always my one and only weakness. That's why I resented you so. Luca, live with love. Embrace the pain, the frailty, and the moments so unbearably shameful. Forgive yourself. Again and again endlessly, because everything begins from here. And with these words, though Hyuna may not forgive Luca for the death of her brother, she departs by giving her final message a strong meaning for Luca. He should live with love, he should forgive himself, and he was Hyuna's one weakness. As the video comes to a close, we are greeted with one last thing. Mizzy in absolute despair. Literally every main character besides her is dead. She is all that's left besides Luca. But I doubt she's exactly a fan of his given his actions in round 5. So, conclusion time. This video was quite an interesting one from Vivinos, despite how macabre and depressing the world of Alien Stage is presented to the audience to be. It showed us some of the nicer moments, in quotation marks, that some of the characters had, as well as the potential lives and loves that they could have had if they were given the chance. Overall, the visuals were stunning, and the music was peaceful and uplifting when it needed to be. The lyrics, I feel, were focused around the theme of growth and moving on, talking about how characters started quivering with fear like reeds in the wind, and like a fragile bud, but they need to bloom as dawn rises unshaking. I very much enjoyed this one, and I think it's one hell of a video to start this new channel off with. But I want to say a couple things really quick though before I end the video. Thank you to whoever is running the wiki page for Alien Stage. Whenever I make one of these videos now, I go back and forth to fact check myself a bit by scrolling through stuff, just to brush off the rust, so to speak. So if you're one of the people that keeps this thing up to date, thank you. You're a lifesaver. After nearly 3 years, it seems like Alien Stage is finally coming to its conclusion, which is kind of funny because the Alien Stage video that was titled Final is literally 8 months old at this point. But with this most recent addition to the story of Alien Stage, Karma, we see a lot. And that's kind of to be expected as this is Vivinos' longest video by a significant margin. The Alien Stage finale, or whatever this is over 8 minutes long, which is almost double the previous longest Alien Stage round 6. And as a result, in this video, we are going to be explaining what happens in this final piece of Alien Stage's story, aptly titled Karma. One thing that is much different in regards to this specific Alien Stage video is that some of its visuals become much more avant-garde and symbolic. And as a result, when we get to those specific images, take my interpretations with a pinch of salt and let me know your thoughts on what's on screen below. But let's just get straight into it. Now, this video starts off by following the trend of the last couple videos, immediately starting where the previous video ended. Wiege ended with Mizzy absolutely destroyed after losing everyone she ever knew, really, now including Hyuna and Till, and as a result of Hyuna's death, Luca, the winner of the infamous Alien Stage, is now joining her in absolute despair. The video, in a more literal sense, starts with us seeing Luca as a child, crying with his back to an oh-so-familiar tree, but he is brought back to reality very quickly by a swift hook to his jaw from Mizzy. As he cowers in fear, drowning in tears, Mizzy beats him more. The audio is just a high-pitched ring as the crowd cheer behind it. Luca is pretty rocked, but as the ringing stops and we get a brief moment of silence, Mizzy picks him up by the hair, and we get some more of the voice acting, which has become more and more prevalent as Alien Stage has progressed. Stop pretending to be so righteous. Neither you nor I deserve to be saved. Maybe in reference to the fact that every major player in this round who has died during the tournament has done so in sacrifice. Sua for Mizzy, Ivan for Till, Hyuna for Luca, and now Till's gone on top of that. People sacrificed themselves so that these two could live, but Mizzy sees Luca crying over this fact and believes that the two of them shouldn't have been saved. Their others should be alive. Sua should still be alive, Hyuna should still be alive, and because of that, they don't deserve to cry. And as the song continues, we will see more about why Mizzy feels so guilty about Sua's sacrifice, as the rabbit hole gets a little bit deeper with that. But the combination of dropping truth bombs and beating him down stops Luca's wailing. But as Mizzy walks away, Hyuna's brother Hyun-woo spawns in her place. And as Mizzy walks away, the music starts. Me, together with you, we head to the distant star below. Mizzy is in the throes of absolute despair at this point, so she slowly walks towards the grieving members of the resistance who have just lost their leader. This character specifically is called Isaac. He's in a couple of the videos, he's the one with the big scar across his face. Mizzy goes towards him and towers above Isaac, and in doing so slowly pulls out her gun. To eternity, or perhaps even beyond, you and me are we. We cut to a flashback to before Sua and Mizzy went on stage in the original first round of Alien Stage that we saw all those years ago. The two are arguing, Mizzy yelling at Sua. Sua covers Mizzy's mouth, cries a single tear, and smiles. A flower then emerges on screen and blooms as we then see Mizzy put her gun to use. She shoots Isaac in the leg, steals his laptop, which has controls for the rocket we saw in the background of the previous videos. Now, I've seen some people say it's a missile for some reason, some say it's a rocket. Why would a missile have landing gear? I've heard some people say it's filled with humans escaping, some say it's kids from a knocked garden. I've heard some people say it's an alien rocket that they've hijacked so that the humans could board it to escape. I've heard a bunch of ideas. I'll discuss what it is in a bit, as the video literally tells us, but just so you know, this is definitely not a missile. But either way, this UFO was supposed to land a bit further away, but Mizzy just kind of says, if I don't get a happy ending, no one gets a happy ending, and sets the coordinates for the rocket to everyone's current location. The stage for the final round, which will not only kill her, it will obliterate every member of the resistance, the aliens in the stands, as well as their human slaves. This isn't just someone who wants to die, this is pure nihilism at this point. Like, Mizzy is trying to commit a horrible act here, but Mizzy herself just crawls into the fetal position, clutching this laptop so that no one can stop her from taking her own life and everyone else's around her. But maybe she herself doesn't see it that way. We then get a visual that represents Mizzy, in my opinion, in a similar way Luca was during the intro. This moment in time, she's doing the same thing as Luca, but worse. She is a crying child throwing a tantrum that is willing to take everyone down with her. Kids from an act garden surround and cuddle her as their hearts grow and their veins spread to each other. We are then met with a montage of assorted imagery, and this is the symbolism I mentioned earlier. So take my interpretations here with a pinch of salt and let me know what you think about them below. We see an exposed heart surrounded by a broken body covered in thorns, a heart-shaped planet embraced by two non-corporeal hands, and a shadowed figure with nothing but their heart visible, followed by cracked glass in the shape of Till and Ivan. You could very much determine that these images represent the two's relationship. The heart surrounded by thorns suggests it's a painful and all-encompassing love that breaks you apart. The heart-shaped planet suggests that the love Ivan feels is overwhelming and all-consuming. It's his entire world. And the shadowed figure could represent how, despite his love being on display very clearly, it is still not recognized here, hence why we can't see the figure's face. When twilight falls and gently embraces us. Now for the part that everyone was talking about the most in the comments. In this subsequent shot, we get a symbolic depiction of each character's love. Firstly, we get Ivan literally forcing his heart into Till's mouth with a kiss, all the while tears streaming down his face, with Till also fighting back against this. The heart-shaped jewel being forced into Till's mouth breaks open, exploding into this black tar-like liquid. Our hearts burst into joyful bloom. Next we see a silhouette of the crying Luca alongside a love heart. Inside it we see the faces of Hyuna and her brother Hyunwoo, a sword dividing them. The imagery itself is very reminiscent of something you've probably seen before. Maybe it's me, but I see this as resembling the King of Hearts playing card from a standard deck of cards. Luca is now the king. Technically, he won again. Yet it cost him those he loved. The King of Hearts are now, I suppose, the king without one. Or at least left with only his own. The next visual we see is Luca in a similar state of despair that the video started with, surrounded by the bodies of Hyuna and Hyunwoo, the bodies covered in the same black liquid, matching Luca's clothes. The hearts clearly having been broken here, yet Luca still loosely holds his own heart, despite the state of shock he's in. He remains still as more and more tears stream down his face. We ride the wind into a place beyond time. We are then met with another montage that represents the relationship between Mizzy and Sua. A heart getting covered in or having metal removed from it, two hands clasped together, a heart trapped between them with nails piercing the heart. Though it is hard to tell if the nails are piercing the hands themselves too. A love heart, pierced with a blade and surrounded by a snake looping around it. Personally, I believe that this specific imagery will make more sense later on when we find out more about Mizzy and Sua's relationship, which makes this imagery specifically much more interesting. And the final image we see is a depiction of Sua as an angel hanging upside down. The two of them are then also seen upside down, face to face, as the same black liquid from before leaks down their faces. The two of them with broken hearts held in their mouths, being forced together as more and more of this liquid covers them. Now personally, I and a lot of other people see this black liquid as well as the jewels that house it, and therefore the actions that these jewels are used for are kind of a representation of the love between each of the respective characters' relationships. Ivan forces his love upon Till, though it remains unrequited. Luca, though he is saddened by the deaths around him, his heart remains intact and alone, whilst the love from everyone else around him breaks. And Mizzy and Sua's love is a forced one, brought about from the conditions of Alien Stage, one of codependency, which we will find out more about as the video continues. The Resistance detain Mizzy and just kind of panic as children from a knocked garden suddenly start appearing everywhere, a few of which loom and stare at the lifeless body of Hyuna. We then get a flashback to Mizzy and Sua. Then we get what I believe to be an inner monologue from Mizzy as she waits for the rocket she called to land on their location. I'm going to just read the monologue itself, then I'll discuss the implications of what they mean as well as the corresponding visuals. Hyuna, there's something I need to confess. She was secretly rehearsing her death every night, and I knew, but pretended not to. Maybe I just wasn't as desperate for her. I know my love was different from yours, but it was love too. Who could really blame me? If you'd seen the look on her face too, you wouldn't be able to judge me either. It's clear from the visuals that Sua is one of the smartest characters in Alien Stage. She knew that she was going to die, or Mizzy would have had to in her place. She literally watches previous Alien Stage losers dying to prepare herself for what will happen. And the fact that Mizzy knows this completely changes the dynamic we see between these two throughout the entire series. Mizzy knew that Sua would sacrifice herself for Mizzy, but she didn't stop her. And from the dialogue and the visuals, it seems that Mizzy believes that Sue wouldn't have been able to survive without her. The two had grown completely codependent on each other, but Sue more so. She couldn't bear to live without Mizzy, and Mizzy knew this. We see flashes of Mizzy stumbling upon Sue watching previous alien stage rounds ending, as well as maybe a moment of confrontation about this, Mizzy being bruised and Sue being in shock. We get some more happy moments between these two being, you know, goofy and wholesome, until we see that all the red flowers we've seen throughout the story, turns out they've been cameras. And we also see Sue prepping for some blood draining, which will be important later. And as she preps, she looks at Mizzy as she goes unconscious. We also get a moment that kind of reveals how visceral this codependency to Mizzy is. Mizzy herself is about to fall off a cliff edge, with Sue holding onto her, with nothing but desperation in her eyes. The same red desperation we saw in Ivan's eyes. As the same flowers from earlier appear over the now painted over tournament bracket, the monologue comes to an end, as we see Mizzy and Sue being drained of a bunch of their blood. We switch between a montage of the two together on stage being filled with smiles, and the two in a literal bloodbath together. The smiles seen by Sue on stage as she's about to meet her demise makes the one we see of her in the bath look hollow and desperate in comparison. Sue's hands clutch Mizzy's and place them around her own neck. She wants Mizzy to kill her, or to be sacrificed for her. Sue knows just as much as Mizzy that she can't live in this hellscape without her. We then see the catastrophic results of Mizzy's manic episode, literally from her point of view as the shot starts from her eyes. The rocket crashes and destroys everything. The vicinity is nothing but a cacophony of flames, but she sees familiar faces when they were at their happiest, falling down surrounded by hellfire. Ivan, Till, Hyuna and Hyunwoo are even there. Luca is surprisingly absent. Granted, this is because we are seeing the people that either Mizzy likes or has somewhat of a connection with. Despite her more than likely never meeting Hyunwoo, she probably heard about him from Hyuna and imagined Hyuna at her happiest with him. Side note, the VFX here remind me a lot of Vivinos' old horror stuff, like Fiancé and My September. Just the visual style of it reminds me a lot, but back to Karma. Mizzy and Sue are then seen just like the others, as children. Then we see them dressed in their round one attire, and they embrace. All the while, the crowd for the final round are being set ablaze. As they shriek in fear, we see their children slaves around them, literally glowing, smiling as their deaths approach. I believe that since this specific scene is from Mizzy's perspective, I get the impression that she sees this act not just as one of a self-righteous, but also as an act that will free these child slaves from the pain she has had to endure and the pain she knows they will feel too. But then we get another monologue aimed at the now dead Hyuna from Mizzy. You were running away from the very beginning. Not once did you face your real feelings. Did clinging to some noble cause or sense of justice ever really fix anything? But what came of it? A meaningless death. And even if we'd been granted freedom, we'd have still felt alone, because humans are the root of all this pain. We're creatures who can't seem to love without exploiting. The monologue itself kind of highlights how she is feeling in a very explicit way. She sees the person who saved her, Hyuna, dead on the ground after saving Luca, and merely calls it a meaningless death. She sees the entire human race as the reason for this happening, or at least the reason for all the pain and sorrow she's in. If there weren't any humans, they wouldn't have to feel this absolute despair. The irony of the visuals during this monologue is that it shows the real purpose of the rocket that she just obliterated. It was an escape to the true Earth. It seems that they took control of this rocket so that they could escape and get to a place without aliens in the very least. But all Mizzy does is criticize that and say that it never fixed anything. Probably because you just blew it up, but maybe that's just me. At the same time, we get more flashbacks of Hyuna and her crying a bunch. And we also get a similar montage to the ones earlier that portrayed characters' relationships. This time, we have two lambs with chips in their neck licking each other's wounds. Kind of a biblical-esque reference, but sure. I feel like this is a reference to how Alien Stage forces the humans, the lambs, to band together and become codependent on each other and sort of lick each other's wounds. Maybe this is in reference to Mizzy and Sue, but one lamb looks older than the other, so maybe it's in reference to Hyuna and Mizzy. Who knows? Let me know how you feel down below. We then see a crying statue, a holy light held by human hands, a caterpillar breaching its cocoon to be a butterfly, but has needles sticking out of it, maybe representing how this planet won't allow humans the freedom to spread their wings. We then see 3 rabbits, 2 dead behind, 1 alive in front, with blood across its face. More than likely, this is in reference to Alien Stage itself, The participants are livestock that the aliens view as mere animals and pit them against each other so that only one will survive. Maybe you could take it in a bit more of a focus route and say this represents more so Mizzy in the centre, and specifically she has Sue and Till behind her, while she is still alive in the middle. We then get a wholesome photo from the garden when everyone's all happy together. We then see what appears to be headless statues of Sue and Mizzy from round 1. Then we get an amorphous blob of an organ on screen which doesn't look like a heart, just some sort of mass. Maybe it's supposed to represent how distorted people's love for one another is twisted through Alien Stage. I mean, there isn't one single healthy relationship in the entire story, really. There can't be, because of how twisted and horrible this world is. We then get a close-up of what is seemingly Mizzy staring directly into a goat's eye. Charming. Not gonna lie though, this shot just reminds me of Makima more than anything else. We're finally back in reality, so I don't have to struggle to understand the symbolism anymore. And with that, the lyrics also come back too. This repeating chorus. When twilight falls and gently embraces us, our hearts burst into joyful bloom. We ride the wind to a place beyond time. If I'm with you, this love. Now, Mizzy has burned everything down to the ground due to her own emotional state. However, it doesn't seem like any of the good guys were caught in the crossfire, or maybe some are, but the named ones are alive at least. Oh, just as I say that, Luca gets melted. Okay, cool. We see Mizzy holding Till's lifeless body, with Sue watching over her. Mizzy herself is waiting for the incoming flames to take her life too, but as the resistance members struggle to escape, including Isaac, who just still has a bullet hole in his leg, by the way, Mizzy notices something. Through her despair and tears, she hears something. The best character is still alive. She can hear his heartbeat. Till never loses, okay? Till always winning, baby, let's be real. So Mizzy scrambles to desperately get to the already injured resistance and begs them to help save Till, my goat. But, like, imagine this, right? Imagine the scenario and take a more literal approach to what Mizzy has just done. Right? Just imagine someone you've been living with, like she had been with the Resistance for a little while. Imagine you've been living with someone for a while, they shoot you in the leg, take your car, and then immediately crash it into a parade, and then ask you for help. Like, at this point, I'm going to be honest, I'm off the Mizzy train. But I'll get into that later. I'm not a big Mizzy dude. I'm not into it. As Mizzy asks Isaac for help, we cut to black. We get another flashback to Mizzy and Sue. Mizzy goes into the room where Sue was preparing herself for her final moments, and Mizzy simply comforts her. We cut to black again, as we hear Isaac, of all people, monologuing. I guess the bullet wound in the leg didn't kill him. For humans, and for these beasts too, innocence was a luxury they couldn't afford. In this endless suffering, to love and to be loved, to hold on to hope for a day that may never come. The visuals show us two cells fusing together. As Isaac speaks, we see the hands of Alien Stage members through their entire lives, seeing Sue fall at round 1, see Ivan kiss Till in round 6, followed by cleaning crews following the destruction Mizzy caused, till we see a petri dish surrounded by blood vials labelled with each member's initials. Is that a survival instinct or selflessness? At the centre of it all was a woman now called a witch, who was always searching for love. Can we really blame her for that? We see the results of the blood mentioned a moment ago. Our favourite characters have been cloned and combined together, each one having a couple features of different members. Mizzy's hair with Ivan's eyes, Sue's eyes with Luca's hair and Huna's skin colour, like they have all been mixed and matched together. We now see Mizzy standing in front of the destruction of her own making, destroying the hopes of the resistance, but also creating a horrible tragedy for the aliens too. We then get a bunch of ads appearing in front of us. A new story about Mizzy and her actions that day. However, we can gather that this is a 7-year flash forward, and as a result, the Alien Stage Museum is now being opened to commemorate this horrific tragedy in all of its glory. Luca is also back somehow. Maybe he survived those flames, or it is also very possible that this is a clone, which we saw in Wiege, I'm pretty sure. Where did this original sin begin? And in the face of a trial, with no clear answer, can these lives ever overcome it? We then see a mysterious figure, scarred on the neck, with grey hair. Wonder who it will be. Riding around on a bike all mysteriously. We see some aliens accosting some children, to which our new mysterious figure protects them and gives them directions to somewhere safe. The logo on the map itself is also the logo for the Resistance, so it's still going strong. Behind the children, however, the figure notices that more children are being detained from a CCTV camera. We then get to see the inside of this Alien Stage Museum, seeing all the clothes and accessories from the first round on display. We then cut back to the cloned children we saw before in the replica hall. I can't see the full placard, so I couldn't tell you the full title, but this is the replica hall, okay? Just in front of this, however, We also see the guitar that Till smashes, somehow still on display despite it exploding, alongside Luca's violin, and I also think that's Till's guitar from the final round too. The replica hall itself also resembles a knacked garden, which is quite weird because why would all of the aliens know what the garden looks like? Does that mean all the moments from the character's childhood have also been televised through the camera flowers? Maybe. That's very probable, actually. The mizziest of all the clones somberly looks outside the glass wall inside the museum and sees a figure drive past on a bike. They reverse a little as they take their helmet off to say hello. And it is in fact my goat, Till. He unequivocally has won Alien Stage, right? He got to the final round, he survived his neck being exploded, and is arguably the least messed up from the entire Alien Stage. Like, he is chilling, he is vibing. My goat. And he had the best song, round 2 best song, not gonna lie. Anyway, as the credits appear, we get one final visual before this video comes to a close. And this final visual is what kind of makes most people believe, including myself, that this is the last we're gonna get from Alien Stage for the most part. We see all the main crew all happy together. Like, this is impossible, but it's a wholesome image, right? This is very much a the story's over kind of image though. But with that being said, time to give my overall opinion and thoughts on Karma. Overall, the video had a lot more symbolism than usual, and when I say that, I mean in regards to the visuals being much more avant-garde and stylized instead of just showing what the characters are actually doing, in a more plot-based way. Best way to explain what I mean is Ivan forcing his heart in Till's mouth in Karma, but what literally happens is Ivan forcefully kissing him. But those visuals perfectly visualize and symbolize this quite clearly to the audience. The rest of the imagery, however, and their symbolism is a little bit harder to follow. For example, in regards to the montages used throughout, I could be completely wrong about how I viewed the symbolism of these images. That's just kind of how much more up for interpretation these visuals are, in my opinion. And as a result, you might disagree with my thoughts on them and how I understood these images. So please feel free to tell me I'm wrong below and let me know what you thought about them. However, one thing that does annoy me a little bit about the whole thing is that Mizzy just kind of killed a bunch of people and nearly all of the resistance. Like, dude, you had a gun in your hand, which you shot, just pointed somewhere towards yourself. Like, not at Isaac, dude. What the hell did he do? And the speech about her not having respect for Huna and her actions in the resistance, it's like, damn rude, Mizzy. She ain't for me. Till, he's my goat. He has the best song in the series, had by far the most healthy relationship in the whole series. Like, he just had a childhood crush on Mizzy, which is like the most normal thing here. Ivan is a weird stalker guy. Sua wants to die, and after she does, so does Mizzy. Like, I don't even need to tell you how weird Luca is, but besides maybe Huna, Till is by far the most normal. But I will say this though, when you see a clone of yourself fused with people you knew from like 7 years ago, it feels kind of weird to just smile at them, because I'd be pretty freaked out if I was walking through a museum and I just saw a random exhibit of me gene spliced with another person. But maybe that's just me that finds it a bit weird. Also, I forgot to mention it, but the title, in regards to the title, I believe that Karma is in reference to how Mizzy perceives what people deserve. She and Luca and everyone else deserved to die. Till deserves to live because he really didn't do anything wrong, except smash my poor guitar friend. In conclusion, however, I hope this is the conclusion of Alien Stage. Whilst yes, there are questions like what happened to Mizzy, is that the real Luca, etc., I'm fine not knowing. I mean, Till survived, so I feel pretty good, to be honest. I feel like I won. But I think this is a pretty good piece of art to end this nearly 3-year-long journey on. Do you agree? Are you still wanting more Alien Stage? Do you want to get back to the PVC, or maybe even the horror stuff? Let me know below. Toodles my doodles. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Peace. So, that's everything to say about Alien Stage so far. There were a couple Vivinos made for Alien Stage that I didn't end up covering, but I really do look forward to seeing what Vivinos does next with this series. Also, P.S. a little side note, I was recently at MCM Comic Con in London, and trust me, this does relate to Vivinos. I was there for the weekend and I saw so many Vivinos and Alien Stage cosplayers. It was insane and really cool to see. It was really awesome to see how many Alien Stage fans there actually are. But that being said, I really hope you enjoyed. Toodles my doodles, hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Peace.